Welcome everybody. How are you doing today? I hope that everybody is doing really well. And today I want to speak a little bit about this very powerful and very important question. Is everything okay just the way it is? It's a very, very powerful question that has the power to cut through the mind. It has the power to cut through the patterns of the past. Because okayness is really a reflection of our true nature. I will be speaking more about this and clarifying this more in our upcoming 3-week program that begins on December 3rd. And today I want to speak a little more about this because there is so much misunderstanding about okayness. One thing I want to clarify is that I don't want you to just adopt another belief. I don't want you to start just thinking that everything is okay just the way it is, even though it's actually helpful to remember that. But I don't want it to be just a thought in your mind. I want it to be an actual experience. And that's what we are going to be doing in the program also. We are going to be coming at this very experientially, because we might have to begin with understanding, with the understanding that everything is okay the way it is. Just because it's present, just because it has arisen. But we definitely don't want to end there. Because you want to have moment by moment by moment your very own experience of that. The misunderstanding about okayness is, and maybe it's just the words that we use, that there isn't maybe a better word to describe this, okayness, right? There isn't any different or better word to describe that. But the misunderstanding is that we believe that okayness means we have to agree with what is going on. That's where the little ego mind starts to have a problem with this okayness, right? How can this be okay? Or how can that be okay? Or this really is not okay, right? But when I speak about okayness, I'm not speaking about this on the level of mind or personality. I'm not speaking about this on the level of ego or on the level of agreement. As a matter of fact, ego mind lives a lot of the time in not okayness with what is. I don't know if you notice that, right? In ways big and small, because maybe we have moved already through the biggest part of this not okayness, realizing, well, things are just the way they are. But then there are things, times, moments when we still live in that identification with the mind, where we really do believe that things should be different than they are, right? But when I speak about okayness, I'm not speaking about the ego, I'm not speaking about the mind, I'm not speaking about personality, I'm not speaking about agreement. I'm really speaking about our true nature. Because when our attention is at rest, when there is no conflict, when the mind merges in the heart, even just for a moment, we know that everything is okay just the way it is. Or coming out of that, we know that everything is okay just the way it is. That in reality, the way things arise, no matter what we think, no matter what we believe, they cannot be any different. So I hope this question brings up questions for you. I hope this question stirs things up for you. And I hope this inquiry brings things up for you to look at, because that is the purpose of that. We really want to see and we really want to clarify. And that's why I want to invite you to join me in the program, because we want to look at the questions. We want to look at what comes up around that. We want to experientially know okayness and also understand that to experience, to truly experience okayness moment by moment by moment, really breaks the reliance on the mind. And that is why it's so important, you see. It breaks the reliance on the mind. It brings us into reality, into how things really are. And that is very, very powerful. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to our time together. And also, if you enjoy these videos, please like, please subscribe. More of you have been subscribing lately, which is great for us, but the likes and comments also make a big difference. So please do that if you can. It just makes this more available.